this is how you make a apron, a double-sided apron. You need 2 waist ties. You need 1 neck tie. You need pockets. And you need 2 pieces of the apron body. So we have 1 in a plain and 1 patterned piece of apron fabric. We're going to begin with our pockets. And we take our pocket fabric and we fold it good sides facing in. Pin around the outside. And we're going to sew all the way around the outside edge, leaving a gap. Sew forwards, sew back. Remove the pegs as you go. Turn a corner, needle down, foot up, twist. Needle down, foot up, twist. Now I'm only sewing to this peg here. Because I'm leaving a gap open so that I can fold it out. I'm going to go around and trim the edges. Make sure you don't cut too close to your fabric here. Trim, trim. And I'm going to flip this the right way. Something to poke into the corners. Fold that section in. Like that. Now I'm only going to put 1 pocket onto my apron because I only want 1 pocket on it. Move this out the way. Take my apron. This is the top of the apron, like this. And I'm going to place my pocket where I would like it. I'd like mine about halfway down the apron. I'm just going to check where I'm making a wee line. About here. And because my fabric has lines on it, I can line that up. Now make sure that wherever your hole is, it's one of the sides that's going to be sewn closed. And you pin your pocket to your apron. You may remember this from last year when you pinned your pockets for your tote bag. Now, top of the apron, top of the pocket is going to be like this. So I'm going to sew 1, 2, 3 edges shut. Now I'm going to attach my pocket to my apron. I'm going to start at the top. And I'm going to sew forwards. I'm going to sew back. And then I'm going to come all the way down the edge here. Just remove these pins as I get to them. When I get to the corner, I make sure my needle is down. Foot up, twist, place that back down. When I come to my pocket that's open there, and just make sure that that's sitting nice and flat. Last corner, needle down, flip up, twist. And then I make sure I back stitch over, middle up. Now, my pocket is attached to the top of my apron here. Next, I'm going to sew the waist and neck straps. Now, the straps get folded good sides facing in and peg along the edge here. And again, just like the straps in your bags from last year, you are sewing all the way down the straight edge, and then you are sealing one end closed. To get a nice straight line, I'm going to line up my folded edge here with one of the measurements on my machine. So I'm going to line that up, and I'm going to make sure that the whole time I'm sewing, my folded edge here is in line with the marker on my machine. So I sew forwards, I do a wee back stitch, and then I sew down, making sure my folded edge stays in line with that marker. Just remove the pegs as you go. So I'm watching this edge, folded edge here, and keeping it in line with this marker. As I get closer to the edge, I'm going to take out this peg, put my needle down, foot up, twist, and I'm going to seal this end closed. Now it's hard to see because this is white thread, but this end is sealed shut, and I'm just going to trim the excess off there. Then I'm going to trim the excess the whole way along my strap or neck strap. And this end of my strap is left open. But the sealed shut end, I'm going to separate the two layers like this and push the sealed end inside that tube we've created, and you can get yourself a classroom pencil, or I'm using a paintbrush, and push that edge using the sealed shut end through tube, making sure that the strap at the end is in there. Pull that out. Now we've got a nice hidden seam strap. Now I'm going to repeat that process for my two waist ties. And these are not patterned, but if you have a patterned fabric, you need to make sure that the pattern side is facing in, just like I showed you on the neck strap. Seal one end closed. Now I'm sewing down the long edge and sewing this end closed. Exactly the same as I just did the neck strap. This time I'm going to use this edge of my machine and again the folded edge so that I get a nice straight line. I've got my folded edge lined up with the metal plate on my machine. I'm going to sew forwards, I'm going to reverse, and then I'm going to sew all the way down this long edge, making sure I keep my folded edge in line with that plate the whole time. Remove pegs as you go. Come to the end, I'm going to seal this end shut, so needle down, foot up, twist, and I'm going to close that end off. This needle up, foot up, take it out. Now I'm going to trim off the excess just like I did with the neck strap. And I have my 2 waist ties. So I've repeated that on my other waist tie, and now I'm going to turn these out the right way. All right. Open the bottom. This is the sealed end. Push it inside. I'm going to use one of these purple turners. I take one end and I push it and push the fabric all the way through using the end of there, making sure that when I get to the end I pop those edges out nice and sharp. Take that out and pull that all the way through. And this is one of my waist ties. I have one waist tie, one neck tie, and I'm going to repeat that for my other waist tie. Open the bottom, push the sealed end inside that tube, take your turner, push that all the way through. At the end, make sure you tap those out nice and sharp and pull that through. So now I have 2 waist ties, 1 neck tie, and I have my 2 apron bodies, one with a pocket attached. The next step is attaching all of this together. So I take my apron body, and it is good side up. I'm going to attach my waist ties about 1 centimetre down from the armpit hole or the edge there. Place one. Now you need to have them laying on top of the apron body. Repeat on the other side. About 1 centimetre down. And now I am going to sew those in place. I'm just using on top here. I'm going to sew that into place. Go forwards, back, same to this side. Now I have my straps attached here. I need to attach my neck strap up the top. And I use the same method. I place it on here and get my strap and fold it how I would like it to sit around my neck, like this. And I'm going to attach just slightly in from the side here. And just slightly in from the side here at the very top of my. Now I'm going to sew this into place. Place my apron body down with all of the straps on the inside. If you have a pocket, you can tuck these into here so that they don't get in your way. I'm going to place my other piece of apron body on top. Now this is good side up and this is good side facing in. On top like this, and peg all the way around the outside edge. I like to match these up as I go around. And really make sure that none of your strap is in there. You want to make sure that you are only sewing these two layers together when you sew around the edges. Now I'm going to sew all the way around the outside edge of my apron, but I'm going to leave a section at the bottom open for turning it out when I'm done. So I'm going to start at this pink peg and I'm going to end up back at that blue peg. Don't forget to reverse, back stitch here. At the corner, I make sure my needle is down, put up and twist. Go a little bit further forward there. As I'm sewing, I'm making sure that I'm connecting those and making sure those two layers are attached. I'm trying trying to keep a nice straight line because that's the edge of my... Now, as I come near a waist tie, which is in here, I'm making sure that I'm only sewing over this section of the waist tie. I need to feel this here and make sure that when I come around this corner, I'm not catching any of that tie in my sewing. I go across the tie, make sure that I'm off it, and when I turn this corner, the waist tie is down here, and I'm not catching any of it in my sewing. Around the corner. Again, as I come up here, I'm making sure that I'm only ever stitching the 2 layers of my apron together. And I can feel where that neck strap is here. So I make sure I keep it out of the way. If you need to, you can reach through and just pull that strap. Make sure that it's not getting connected to your... At the top, I needle down, put up, twist, a little bit further forward, twist, and now I sew across that section that has the necktie, and that's all. Straight across here. Now when I get here, I want to make sure again that I don't sew my neck strap. I'm going to push it out of the way, make sure it's not, that I'm only sewing the 2 layers of fabric as I come around this section here. Moving threads as I go. Coming up to another section with a strap, so I'm going to make sure that that is out of the way. Around here. So I'm making sure here that I'm not sewing any of that strap, but when I turn the corner here, I'm going to go over that wee section. That is it. Now come straight down. Down here. Getting close to the edge again now. There's no straps here, so I can just go forward. To the bottom, I put my needle down, foot up, and twist. Now I'm just sewing to this blue peg here because we are leaving this section open so that I can pull it out the right way. Reverse, that's it, take it out. Now, I've sewn all the way around the outside edge, and I'm going to turn my apron out the right way. Poke out those corners nice and neatly with a sharp object. Just using my paintbrush. And like that. Go up to the top. Now we make sure that these handles have just been in there. And pull this one. This one, so you see they've not been attached anywhere other than at the edge, and this one here. Now our last step is to sew this end closed. And we fold that neatly like this and place some pegs here. And this is where you can choose to do a decorative stitch if you wish. You could do a zigzag or something similar, because we're going to sew all the way around the outside edge again. I'm going to sew all the way around the outside edge to reinforce all of our straps and to sew this closed. So I'm going to start at the corner here. Actually, I'm going to start at this purple peg. Place my presser foot down. Now you make sure that your presser foot is on the edge of your fabric the whole way round, and then you'll get a lovely straight line. So forwards, we back stitch. And now I sew the entire way around the outside edge. Come to the corners, you make sure your needle is down, foot up, and twist. Now make sure as you're sewing along that you are only getting you can only see one side of your fabric to make sure that you are attaching them neatly there. When you go past a tie, make sure it's sitting flat out to the side. Come over it, tuck it around the back like that. Again, this is my necktie, and I'm making sure that that's right out to the side. This is reinforcing those straps. We want them securely attached so that they can hold the apron on our bodies. Once again, make sure that strap is out to the side, secure it in place, and we come right down to the edge now. So I can see that's folded a wee bit, so I'm just going to make sure that I put a couple of pegs. Keep those two layers sitting separately. Our last step. I'll come back to where I started. And just cross over where I began. Small back stitch, needle up, foot up, and you're finished.